First Things First is sponsored by Gillette, the best a man can get.
Hey everyone, welcome to First Things First. It is Friday. I'm Jenna Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer Cris Carter. That is Nick Wright. We got a stacked show for you today. The Patriots could be planning for life after Tom Brady. We've said that for a couple of years now. The Cowboys might have a new All-Pro coming to town. We got to start in New Orleans with a scary moment for Anthony Davis. Pelicans were hosting the red-hot Oklahoma City Thunder last night when AD left the game just before the first half ended with a shoulder injury. Left the game and then kept on leaving until he left the arena. Davis has been in an awkward spot in New Orleans ever since demanding a trade, and Pelicans head coach Alvin Gentry is done talking about it. Done.
This whole thing has been a dumpster fire, and it's just hard, for guys. We want guys to be professional and we want them to do this, but it's hard for guys, to go through what they've been through and to be able to come out and beat a team of that quality. I'm happy for all the guys. I just thought that they did a great job. I don't know if he left the building or not. I have no idea. Then he left the building. I'm happy for the guys that, that played the game and we won. The guys, I'm going to talk about the guys that played. They did a great job. We found a way to win the game. That's what's important.
All right, Steve, what do you make of what happened last night? I feel like things are just getting messier and messier in New Orleans.
It's always a tough situation because typically in these professional organizations, there's typically a separation between the front office and the coaches and the players in the locker room. But when Anthony Davis, when you asked or request a trade the way he did, you put both of those entities in disarray. From the coaching staff standpoint, they don't know what to do because they're supposed to create an environment every day that they can try to win. Last year, they were a playoff team. They're not supposed to be where they are this year. So trying to stay positive with these players, and people talk about, well, they got guaranteed contracts. Go do your job. Hey, there's a lot of people going to do their job, and they're not happy. And the better environment you can create for them to do their job, the more people are productive. The able to reach their potential within their job. So Anthony Davis has put them in a tough spot. None of these trade requests, even though they are the norm now, we've seen this the last 3 seasons, the impact on all 3 of the players, it was not positive at the beginning. Let's go with Paul George. Man, this is a guy, a small town guy. He's not an LA guy. He wasn't born in Los Angeles. He's born in California, but he's not the big light. So we thought Indianapolis with the Pacers was a perfect fit for him. He demanded a trade. Man, it really affected him because he was part of the media. Then Kawhi. I know Kawhi. I know the people that handle Kawhi. This was not, look at all the bad press Kawhi got last year. Yeah. We thought Kawhi didn't want to play. He was really hurt. And then this year we got another elite basketball player requested a trade. The Pelicans are in a bad spot. When they did not trade him, they set up for the second half of the season ending up like this. So I know Magic said that they weren't really engaged in it. Were they really genuine in trying to trade him? They should have traded him if they wanted to be able to avoid this, because when you leave the player in the building, nothing good's going to happen. That's why I liked last year Kawhi, because he couldn't play. People were trying to force him to play. He removed himself.
They should have. Every step of the way, the Pelicans have botched this. They botched their transactions starting 7 years ago after they drafted Anthony Davis. That's how they have a worse record since then than the team that got Michael Kidd-Gilchrist with the 2nd pick of the Anthony Davis draft, the then Charlotte Bobcats. They botched the realistic plan last offseason when they said they could have last offseason said, you know what? The writing is on the wall here. We have to either go all in on this year, overpay Boogie, deal with the injury, find a way to bring Rondo back and run it back, or we have to start fielding trade offers for Anthony Davis now.
Anthony Davis did tell the Pelicans, you should sign Boogie Cousins.
Right. And they could. Everything's been a half measure. Last offseason, when Kyrie still had a year left on his deal and was not flirting with other teams, what would Boston have given up for a guaranteed 2 years of Anthony Davis? Tatum would have been on the board immediately. The Kings pick this year, the Grizzlies pick. The Lakers would have obviously given all the assets, which at the time probably looked better than they do now. I was thinking about the Memphis Grizzlies this morning. The number 4 pick of last year's draft, plus Mike Conley, if you wanted to do, they would have had a lot of options. They obviously didn't go with that option, and they didn't go with the go all-in option, bring back Anthony Davis. And then at the deadline, another half measure. I know you wanted to reportedly reverse tamper with the Lakers. What you should have done is either trade AD or the moment he requests a trade, hold a press conference and say, we are not trading him. No one should call us. We are going to offer him an extension this summer. And if he doesn't sign it, we're not trading him this summer either. Now, maybe that you do trade him that summer, but you put an end to it. We are at the time, you know what? We're 4 games. I think they were 4.5 games out of the last playoff spot. They weren't going to make it, but you say, we're going for it. Every step of the way, the Pelicans have botched this. And now Anthony Davis, to your point, C, is feeling the repercussions of having his media image change a bit. Last night didn't help.
And, Nick, you make a great point as far as now you set the table for the organization and the coaching staff that they can teach guys every day. They can tell guys, well, we had the press conference yesterday. That's our stance. They can be more consistent in their messaging, and you don't get to this point because this is what I found out. Most of these stars, and LeBron James, he confessed to it. Man, I'm not the bad guy.
They don't want to be the bad guy.
They don't want to be the bad guy. KD, as much as he's got this now with the media and everything, I mean, they don't want to be the bad guy. And I could understand
You want to be adored. Who would rather be booed than cheered?
I mean, you're being paid an exorbitant amount of money to play a game that you love. Now, when you're in a situation like Anthony Davis, there are no home games. He's being booed at home. He's being booed on the road. Fans will never be able to identify with, man, it looks selfish. Every time a player requests something like this, it looks selfish. But at some point as an NBA player, you have to take control of your career because you can't depend on the Pelicans to create a championship atmosphere around you.
So tell me where we are right now. He has this injury last night. It's probably a contusion or a shoulder bruise, if you will. He will most likely be back. But is it in his best interest to come back? The optics of him leaving the arena with his agent, I'm sure, weren't great. What do the Pelicans want? What do you think Anthony Davis wants?
The Pelicans now should revisit what they should have revisited once they decided not to trade him, which is what the NBA say, $100,000 a game.
Yep.
Okay, 27 games, $2.7 million bucks. Here's the check. We're not playing him. You know, it sounds like a lot, but when you say what the totality of it is, because now they got 25.
That is the ultimate protection on the asset, too.
And now he's hurt again, even if it's minor. And I know he had wanted to play in the All-Star game.
And this is the thing. He could have his shoulder dislocated, or it could be a contusion, which is a bruise. Now, as a fan, what are we going to believe when it comes out?
And so if I'm the Pelicans, I use this injury as a way to keep him out of the lineup. And then maybe we've got 21 games left. And we talk after the break. What is the good that can come of us playing him? Winning games is not good for the Pelicans. Anthony Davis it's not like he has to show the league how good he is to enhance his trade value. It can only hurt his trade value, and it can only hurt Anthony Davis.
At this point, because we talk about, as a group, just how popular the NBA is, what great stories they have, how exciting it is. Imagine if we had some mystery with who was going to win the championship. It seems like, to me, Jenna, what do you think the Pelicans should do? In this situation with Anthony Davis, with all the optics, what we've been through the last year, because no one was happy with the Kawhi situation. Paul George, we're on the other side now, and we're starting to see his ability play out. But what would you like to see happen?
Nobody wins, in my opinion, if he plays. Nobody wins. He doesn't win, and the Pelicans don't win. You're right. You have an asset. Hold on to it. Protect it. At this point, maybe you don't get what you thought you were going to get. Maybe you do. But playing him and risking another injury, I think, makes it even worse.
The only way that Lakers offer isn't there is if he suffers a major injury. Their worst case scenario, if they want to look at it, is the Lakers offer. But this is also when there was a lot of commentary about, of course you wait for the offseason. Of course you wait to see what the Celtics offer, who gets the Zion pick. That made a lot of sense. But the other side of that equation was these are real human beings. There are almost 30 more games to be played. There are other people involved. And you have nights like a couple nights ago where they get blown out and Anthony Davis scores 3 points. Nights like last night where they had have their single best win of the year. Russell Westbrook had a 44-point triple-double, and the Pelicans beat him without Anthony Davis.
And no one in New Orleans saw it.
Right.
No one was at the game.
Nobody. Julius Randle was great. He's the guy you signed this offseason. None of it matters because of the specter of Anthony Davis. That was the argument to trade Anthony Davis. One last point before we go.
Yeah.
I saw them walking down the hallway. Like, so was LeBron there? Like, was LeBron leading Rich Paul and Anthony Davis?
LeBron. You're right, Nick. This was not on LeBron.
These are grown-ups making their own decisions.
Grown-ups making their own decisions, to your point.
It'd be long puppet strings, LeBron, all the way from Los Angeles.
Take a break. Coming up. Could the Patriots look to replace Tom?